culture sees marriage as a contract, and the Bible sees marriage as a covenant. And those are very, very different things. Because a contract says, as long as this works for me, as long as I'm getting what I want, as long as you're giving what you said you're going to give me, then this works. And a covenant is very different. A covenant says, this is, and here's the thing, a covenant, what makes a covenant different is a covenant is between you and your spouse and God, right? It's a threefold cord. It is not two.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's a big one. And that's not, culturally, that's not the norm anymore. As soon as this doesn't work for me, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I feel like all contracts are temporary. You know, like we're in business, right? I do contracts with my clients. Here, sign a contract. Well, how many of those contracts are still alive? Very few of them, because
and even in the contract,
break them.
Because people break them. Exactly.
People break them. Yeah.
And you know that, like, okay, if they break this contract, there's not a whole lot I can do.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married with Mugicas podcast. We are so excited that you're here. We are Richard and Hailey Mugica. We have been married for 12 years. We have 4 kids. We run a home-based business. We homeschool. Lots of other fun home things.
You're getting pretty good at that intro.
I know. I'm a little bored of it, to tell you the truth.
It's almost like muscle memory. You don't even think about it anymore.
I know. I feel like everyone's like, okay, we know that.
No,
Anyways,
they don't.
But some people don't know.
A lot of people don't.
Some people don't know. So how's life?
How's life?
How's life?
Life. I feel like life's great. I feel like we're in a new year, 2026. Mm-hmm. And I would say so far, how does it feel? I would say so far, I feel like it feels the same. You know? Like, yeah, hey.
It's like when you wake up on your birthday and everyone's like, do you feel 37? And I'm like, I guess. Does it feel like 2026?
What is 37 supposed to feel like? Are you trying to make a thing that I turned 37 today? You're trying to make an old joke?
You did. You turned 37.
Trying to make an old joke?
You did. You are old.
I'm officially 37 years old.
Yep.
But, here's the good part. I look like I'm 43. So it's good.
ChatGPT says it's the maturity in your beard that shows your age.
Good one, ChatGPT. You could have just said old, but you can go with maturity. I like that. Uh-huh. Now, look, if I were to shave my beard, I would look a lot younger.
And I would cry and cry and cry.
And I would probably not recognize myself. In fact, nobody would. Like the kids would be like, dude, who's this guy?
Who's that guy?
Honestly, if I walked in the door without a beard, the kids might not think I'm the right person.
Don't do it.
My beard's getting kind of thick right now.
Okay.
But all right. How's life for you? What you got cracking? What you got cracking, girl?
Life's good. Life feels busy. Life feels, to be honest, I'm in like a little bit of a stressful season right now. I'm a little bit like
heart palpitations.
A little bit. I'm like trying to remind myself, okay, calm down. Everything's fine. But I don't know. It's just kind of a stressful season. But so goes life.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about stress is it can either break you or it makes you stronger. So only one or two of those are going to happen.
No, I feel like I'm good.
Okay, good.
Okay, so last week on the podcast, we talked about, reverse engineering your marriage. And we really outlined, if you wanted to have a horrible marriage, this is what you would do, so that we can look at that and do the opposite. Because sometimes saying, okay, I want a great marriage.
Yeah.
I want a happy marriage. I want to love my husband. Okay, but those are so vague. Let's talk about what the opposite. Sometimes it's easier to define the bad. Yes. So we're going to say, this is what you would do if you wanted a horrible marriage, and then we're going to do the opposite and hopefully create a great marriage.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. It's just so much easier to think in terms of negatives than positives.
Yeah. The positive just seems like, the old adage, there's so many different ways to skin a cat or whatever. It's like there's so many ways you could be happy. So it's like it's hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's so easy to know what's going to destroy
the negative.
The negative, yeah. It was a good episode.
It was a good one. And so today we're going to be talking about, so obviously if you've watched this podcast before or seen any of our content, you know that we are a Christian couple, and that's our foundation for everything. So we're going to be talking about how a Christian marriage in today's modern culture should look different from just other marriages in the culture, right? How that should look different, and how the biblical standard doesn't change with time. Yeah. It doesn't change with trend. It doesn't change with ideology. It doesn't change with who's president. It doesn't, the biblical standard for marriage doesn't change.
I know.
But the culture changes a lot. So we're going to talk about how those look different.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
There's some churches that have this belief that, well, you have to keep up with the times.
You have to cater to culture.
Yeah, the culture's different. So if the culture's different, then that means expectations and roles, responsibilities, marriage should look different. And we just don't believe that.
It's not true.
Yeah, I think the Bible's timeless. I think you can get into a very rocky situation once you start saying, well, times are different. So how do I apply this in different times?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's tricky,
Yeah. So the very, very first one, I'll go first because this is like the most obvious. Culture sees marriage as a contract and the Bible sees marriage as a covenant. And those are very, very different things because a contract says, as long as this works for me, as long as I'm getting what I want, as long as you're giving what you said you're going to give me, then this works. And a covenant is very different. A covenant says this is, and here's the thing, a covenant, what makes a covenant different is a covenant is between you and your spouse and God, right? It's a threefold cord. It is not two.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's a big one. And that's not,
Yeah.
culturally, that's not the norm anymore. As soon as this doesn't work for me, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like all contracts are temporary. Like we're in business, right? I do contracts with my clients. Here, sign a contract. Well, how many of those contracts are still alive? Very few of them, because
and even in the contract,
break them.
Because people break them. Exactly.
People break them. Yeah.
And that, like, okay, if they break this contract, there's not a whole lot I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so marriage can't be that way.
Marriage can't be that way. And the mindset of the marriage looks a lot different too than what culture says. Because a lot of what marriage becomes in the culture is as soon as things are a little bit hard, as soon as you're not happy, as soon as my spouse is not taking care of me and my spouse is not doing what I think they should be doing, it's like, well, let me just go get an upgraded version. Let me find somebody better. The grass is always greener on the other side. But I think a lot of times what culture doesn't say and what culture doesn't talk about is that you're going to carry that same person to the next marriage. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, and even that new person, no matter how great they seem, they're still human.
Yes.
So they're going to disappoint you. They're going to have moments where they're not on their A game.
Yeah.
And then what? You just drop that person too? Because that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why there is a stat in marriage where there's 40% divorce rate, right? For your first marriage. Now you go to the second marriage, it's over 60%. Then you go to the third marriage, it's even higher than that. Why? Because you've trained yourself that there's no covenant. Mm-hmm. It's just a contract. And make no mistake about it, as Christians, we should live much differently than the world, but the stats show that we live almost the same.
Mm-hmm. That's the sad truth.
And so that's the sad truth. But yeah.
Okay. Do you have one?
It's set in stone, man. Covenant set in stone.
Covenant
can't change it. You're set. You're in there for life.
Yep.
It's a life deal. It's pretty intense. What? Oh, you want me to go?
Do you have one?
Well, yeah, I think so. So in terms of culture versus biblical, I think there's blurred versus distinguished gender roles.
I have that on here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I love about the Bible is that it makes marriage simpler. Mm-hmm. So if you look at biblical marriage, it talks about how the guy, is the head of the marriage. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, when I say the guy is the head of the marriage, I don't mean the guy is better.
Right, of course not. Yeah.
He is not the alpha dog and, the be all end all, but where the leadership comes from in the home is from the man, right? And then the woman's role is more of the nurturer and the supporter in that vision and headship. And then the ultimate leader, of course, is God.
Right.
And so the cool thing about the biblical headship is that you have Christ at the top. And then where the man gets his direction and his leadership is from Christ. And then that passes down to the man. And then where the woman gets her headship and leadership from is the man.
Right.
Right. And so as long as a marriage follows that principle, it's very hard to get off track, right? Mm-hmm. The man answers to God. The woman obviously answers to God, but in the marriage, she is kind of coming up to the man. And that's biblical headship.
Well, and here's what's really interesting about that is that obviously as a woman, it doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion or that I don't, I'm your helpmate, right? My job in life is to come up alongside you. And
right.
you're human, right? And sometimes you might get things wrong, or sometimes your human desires or your fleshly desires might cloud what God would call you to do. And so then it's my job as your wife to come up alongside you and say, hey, this is what I think, this is what I see, this is my perspective. But then as the woman in the helpmate role, I need to know that the headship and the leadership and the decision-making responsibility at the end of the day is yours. And so I'm going to share my point of view, and you respect me enough that you're going to listen to it. But at the end of the day, when you stand before the Lord one day, you have to answer for the leadership decisions that you made for our family. I don't.
That's right.
You do.
There is a level of an accountability that a man has in the marriage that the woman does not. It's the same for the woman, though.
Well, but I think that women have to remove themselves from that responsibility and say, hey, I told my husband, I shared my point of view. I am also human. I could also be wrong. My point of view is not always right, but I shared it. But the responsibility for the decision-making is up to him.
Yeah. And
then you can follow that with grace, even if it's not what you wanted.
Yeah. And, my word of caution to men, and I find this very fascinating. I don't know. I think it's all women. You guys have this weird, unique ability to kind of just feel what is right. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You like when you come to me and you're like, babes, I'm getting this feeling, right? There have been times in my life where I've said, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I don't think so. I mean, this is how many handfuls of times has this happened, right? Hey, babes, I don't really feel good about this guy. I'm like, what do you mean you don't feel good about him? He's a great dude. He's funny. He's awesome.
Fun.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then sure enough, that dude turns out to be no good. I'm like, dang, I should have listened to my wife. Or it's like, hey, babes, you know what? This business decision, I just don't get a good feeling about it. Here's why. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a good
great
plan.
Deal. The contract's great.
Deal. Everything looks perfect. And then sure enough, it was not a good deal. And so I don't know. Women have this crazy, unique ability to just feel in their gut when something's off. And me as a man, it took me a while to realize this, but I'm listening more and more. And now with every decision, I want and I need your input because it's something that I don't have. I can't fill out a situation like that like you can.
Okay, and
wives, keep on doing that because your husband needs it.
Yes, and I so appreciate what you're saying, and I know that you genuinely mean it. But I think it's also really, really important for women to hear this.
Yeah,
and that is that you are not infallible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think sometimes women can use that as a way to manipulate and say, "Oh no, but my intuition's good, so you have to do what I say." It's like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
you have to share your point of view. That is your responsibility.
Yep.
He does not have to do what you say. The leadership at the end of the day is his.
Yeah.
And so you need to honor yourself enough to share, but let yourself go enough to know that okay, and there have been times where I have had gut feelings like that have been wrong.
Yes.
But
sometimes I've gone against the grain. Like very few
times, but times you have done it, you've been right.
Yeah.
And so I just want women to really use a lot of caution, not to use that in a manipulative way of saying, oh, but my intuition says this, so we have to. You know what I mean? Your husband doesn't have to do anything.
Yes. Yeah. And so in the marriage, a man's role is to provide and protect. Would you agree?
Of course.
And then a woman is to nurture and unveil beauty. Mm-hmm. And so look, in a marriage, if in terms of biblical responsibility, that is what it is. So if a man is not protecting and a man is not providing, well, you're out of God's design. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? So now what you invite into that marriage is, I think, we fight against principles and principalities, spirits, right? Mm-hmm. So now when a man is out of alignment with his God headship, the woman is not in alignment with the man because he is not doing his part. And now you invite these principalities and these spirits, and I think the devil's warfare into the home. And as soon as the devil's warfare comes into the home, he is going to try to convince you, like the culture says, that you guys are not compatible. This is not the right person. You know what? You should think twice before going any further with this person. Mm-hmm. And the devil starts playing with your mind. And I think that's how he really starts getting invited, because you're not doing it according to what the Bible says. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, so I had a couple other thoughts when it comes to roles, because I had that written down also. And so culture says that roles are fluid, competitive, or rejected altogether. And obviously the Bible designed roles to be very complementary. They're not oppressive. There's so much freedom in living in your role and letting your husband take on theirs, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And the most beautiful analogy I heard this week, where it was Lisa Bevere, and she was talking about a coin collector, right? And so you have this really, really rare coin, and it's got the American Eagle on one side, and it's got Lady Liberty on the other side. And so let's say those are the male and female sides of the same coin. As a coin collector, it's not worth collecting, and it doesn't hold its value if only one side is
I don't want it.
beautiful and the other side is destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
It has no value.
Both sides have to be pristine in order for that coin to hold its value. And I think that so like you're saying, men aren't better than women. We can't elevate men and
cut the
women off, right? But we also can't elevate women and cut the men off. They both have to work together.
It's God's design.
And I've said this a million times and I get so much crap for it, but I am an anti-feminist, right? I think that the most anti-women people in the world are feminists. Because what feminists do is they tell women that you have to act like a man to have value. You have to go be aggressive. You have to go be assertive. You have to go put yourself at the top of the pyramid in order to make a difference in society. You can't be home with children. You can't raise your family. Like, how oppressed are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The man has oppressed you.
Well, but really it's the women that are oppressing you, right? It's the feminists that are oppressing femininity.
That's right.
And I think we have to reject that altogether. I think that we have to have masculinity and we have to have femininity together, and that's what makes it work. You have to have two sides of the same coin. And I think that women have really rejected our femininity because we've been sent that message for so long. But I think it's really important for women to remember that woman was created as the answer to the first problem. She is not the problem. She's the answer to the problem.
That's a good point.
And the first problem was it is not good for man to be alone. So God created Eve, right? She was the answer, not a problem to be fixed.
Yeah.
And so you can sit in your femininity and in all those urges that you have as a woman, and they're good.
Yes.
You don't have to suppress them to be more manly in order to offer value. I just think that if I am passionate about anything in the world, it's that topic.
I can sense it. It's funny. I've had conversations with multiple men, including in our family. I'm not going to mention their names, but I can't tell you how many times I have heard the phrase that if it wasn't for my wife, I would be X. And I'll tell you one example of a guy. We're very close to him. You know him. And he said, dude, if it wasn't for my wife, I would be an animal. Like I would be the guy that is just a womanizer and going after fleshly things and trying to reach the top of the pyramid and just doing whatever it takes as an animal would to climb the ladder. And it's my wife who was able to tame me.
Oh, tame me. Yeah, that's a great word.
And make me a better man. And so to your point, God knows what he's doing. Like every man needs that woman. And if you give that man that woman, the man you thought was cool or good becomes phenomenal. Not because the man, but because of the woman.
Right.
And so I think it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it really is. It's my favorite topic ever. Okay, my next one is modern marriage or cultural marriage calls for self-fulfillment, while biblical marriage calls for self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's, again, a really obvious one. But self-fulfillment, what do I get out of it? What do you give me? How does this work for me? What do I receive? What do I, me.
Yes.
And self-sacrifice is how can I serve you? And we talked about this last week, but when you have two members of a couple asking to serve each other,
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing, but everyone's being served and no one's having to be selfish. It's like, it just works. And so that's one way that biblical marriage needs to look different than cultural marriage.
Well, it's 100% right. And here's how I look at it. So I don't know if you know this, but my number one prayer for years and years and years was just, God, help me every day to eradicate my fleshly desires, right? Like the Bible clearly talks about it. Man in his natural form, what does he do? He depends upon the flesh. And the flesh is where every evil sin and desire comes from. That's where lust and greed and anger and overwhelm and stress and all these things come from, right? On the flip side, if you're able to put on the Spirit of God, the Spirit is where all the fruits of the Spirit live.
Love, joy, patience.
Peace. And so as a younger Christian, when I heard this, I was like, oh my gosh, the two wars are between flesh and spirit. So my number one prayer every day was, God, let me live in the spirit. Because if I can just get rid of my fleshly desires, I know I'll do better things in life, right? And so I think if you look at culture versus the Bible, the way I look at it as culture is just flesh.
Yeah.
And the Bible is spirit. And I would encourage every man out there, obviously every woman too, but I know this helped me. When I pray that prayer and I say, Lord, eradicate the flesh in my life, I am automatically now more prone to the spirit. And I believe that is one way that I have learned to tame my man desires. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think as a man, like to that gentleman's point, I'm an animal. Like I want to go out and conquer and dominate and control and manipulate and force and power, right? Like you want these things, but you realize in the spirit you can have them, but you do it through a different mechanism.
It's different, yeah.
It's a different mechanism, right? And so, anyways, I think about that a lot, in my life.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on that?
No, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
That was good.
Cool. So that was what was the principle? The principle was
Self-sacrifice over self-fulfillment.
Self-fulfillment. Yeah. By the way, the only way, I'm not to bang home this point, the only way you're going to have self-sacrifice is if you're in the spirit.
Right.
That's the only way.
That's not
your
human,
desire is to satisfy self in the flesh. Always. It is that way. It'll always be true. So that's another point. Yeah. But anyways, okay, so one thing that I have in terms of what culture says versus a biblical marriage, how it should look different, is culture praises busyness, where the Bible prioritizes the home. And so some practical ways that this turns out or shows up in marriage is, the normal stuff, right? You're busy just doing the sports, right? Hey, you know that on Sundays you should probably go to church and you should prioritize God, but hey, we have baseball practice. We have to go to the baseball things. We have to do the weekend sport outings, right? So now you are prioritizing the culture of busyness over what the Bible is calling you to do, right? And it's not, so here's the thing that I find fascinating with this. It's not that the sports are not important.
Right.
But the other one is more important.
Right. You're sacrificing great things for good things.
Exactly. And that's what you don't want to happen, because when you trade what is good for what is great, you are missing the full joy in your marriage and in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to preface that as we talk about busy stuff and the essential stuff, because it's not that busy stuff's not important. It's all important, but there's levels of importance.
Yes.
And you got to keep the main thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think in order to be able to do that intentionally, you have to actually sit down and map out like what are the great things versus what are the good things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to because if there's a quote that I always forget what the exact quote is. But it's something about, you've used it before. Everything's going to tell you how important it is. Yeah. And it's never going to prioritize your marriage for you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. The world. Yeah. It's never going to, I can't remember exactly.
Whatever. Life, nature, culture, whatever is never going to put things in the correct priority order for you. You have to actually do that.
100%.
And in order to do that, you have to sit down and actually decide what are your main priorities and then organize your life in such a way that is reflected.
Yeah.
But if you don't actually make an intentional way to do that, it won't happen for you.
It just won't happen.
It will not happen for you.
Perfect example. Something that I know, and look, this is research-based. This is not just my opinion. When families prioritize having dinner around the same dinner table, a lot of good things happen, right? Whereas opposed to not doing that, a lot of bad things tend to happen.
Right. And it's literally just 3 times a week. If you can prioritize sitting down as a family at the dinner table 3 times a week, the chances of incarceration go way down, the chances of depression go way down, the chances of drug addiction and alcohol addiction go way down, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And families can't do that or don't do that.
And well, here's the thing, right? It's justified because they're like, well, I know that's important, but we have to get the sports. Yeah. We have to go get the kids over here. We have to, we got 4 kids. We have to be at 3 different places at the same time. It's like, okay, I get it. But you have to realize that is the main thing. So you have to make sure you find time for that main thing.
Right.
And so that's the point. It's like some things you might have to, I've learned this a long time. So some things you might have to eliminate, some things you might have to delegate, and some things you might have to delete or eliminate, delegate, and I can't remember the last one. Eliminate, delegate, and
Well, so just like a practical way that we've done that, right? So we have 4 kids. Like we get that you can be pulled a million different directions, but we've just decided because we have 2 boys and 2 girls. At any given season, our boys can do one thing and our girls can do one thing, but we're not doing 4 different things. We will do 2 different things.
That's right.
And for us, football season's the best because our boys do football, our girls do cheer. It's at the same field, same time. Works great for us. But that's one way is we've at least cut it in half of all the different places we have to go. And then during football season, the way it works out for us, we don't have dinner till 9 o'clock at night because we don't want to feed this kid at 4 o'clock before they have to go to practice and then feed this kid at 6 o'clock when they get home. And then we'll pick up food on our way home. Like, no, you can have a snack and then we're all going to have dinner really late because it's important to us that we have dinner together.
That's right.
And so that's just some practical ways that we've been able to do that. Even though I get the practice and like, things like that aren't optional. I get it, but you have to figure out how to work around it. Or, that's one reason we chose football as a family is because it doesn't do sports on Sundays. Football's not a Sunday sport. Works great for us. We can still make it to church, So sometimes you might have to evaluate what it is you're spending your time doing.
That's right. That's right. And then another thing I think couples marriages should think about is also the reason why they get into the busyness trap. The reason why I say that is because something that I find fascinating is you might be prioritizing busyness because at some level you're trying to avoid the real stuff.
An escape.
It's an escape, just like social media. Just like
I can't clean my
phone.
house and I can't get my organization under control because I'm just never home. Like I'm just not there.
That's right.
Like, they need to figure out how to be home.
Yeah. Or maybe you just, you resent the chaos in the home. It's like, well, I'd rather be doing X because if I'm at home, my kids are just going nuts, But, that's the real. I mean, it's something to think about today. It's like, am I trying to escape something in my life? Maybe me and my husband just don't know how to communicate. So I'm trying to escape that by being busy. I don't know how to relate to my kids, or I don't like the chaos, so I'd rather be busy. I can't
get them to behave, so I'd rather go.
Exactly. Yeah. Except of just, look, that's why most marriages, what they're doing all day long is just treating symptoms. It's all symptoms. It's like, well, you know what? Let me give you the Tylenol. Let me get the, what's the stuff? Let me get the Mucinex. Babes, where's the Advil?
Benadryl.
The Benadryl, right? Let me give the kids some melatonin tonight. All that stuff because you're treating the symptoms, except it's just saying, look, what's the problem? What's the root of this? And attack that. Now, that's the real work in marriage.
And that's the real work.
That's the real work.
It's hard work.
But here's the thing. The hard work is what produces the fruit. That is the work, right? And then you don't want to spend a whole marriage just doing all these symptoms, being all busy. And when really all it was going to require is maybe a month of really hard work to get back on track, right? And that could produce a lasting fruit in your life. So it's just things to think about. And that we think about too. Like we have to think about too.
Oh, for sure. Okay, now this one is probably going to be my second favorite one after the gender one.
Yeah.
In a biblical marriage, sex is sacred, not transactional.
Sex is sacred, not transactional.
Right.
So define it. Define it. I think I like it. How do you define it?
In culture, sex is casual. It's recreational.
Oh, yeah.
It's leverage. That's the worst.
Ooh, leverage.
Maybe not the worst one, but that's right. Like,
yeah, it's animalistic.
Well, yes, but even in a marriage, say you're in a monogamous marriage, but I'm going to use sex as a weapon to get you to do what I want you to do.
Ooh, yeah.
If you didn't do what I want, then you're not getting it.
And women, honestly, man, you guys hold the cards there. I'll be honest with you. That is like, you can really use that.
And it's like so dangerous because sex, it should be something that bonds. It should be safe. It should be healing. It should be to produce intimacy and closeness. It should be the safest place. It's a gift in your marriage.
Yeah.
But when you're using it as a weapon, you're taking all the beauty away from it. And it's no longer safe anymore. It should be such a gift to your marriage.
Yes. Yeah. It should be a gift. Yeah. I think in culture, sex has no sacredness to it.
No.
It's just like, dude, I want to just have sex. So I'm going to go and spread my wheat
true.
Seeds.
But the nature of sex doesn't change just because the culture does. Right. Yeah. And so there still is the sacredness to it. It's just that you're not treating it with the reverence it deserves. You know what I mean? It's like 100%. Taking this beautiful gift and smashing on it. It's like it didn't change what the gift was, but you just disregarded it. Yeah.
No, sex is a beautiful thing. And I think in today's world, like we just forget the beauty of sex. Like we don't say, oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's like sex is just animalistic. We're humans. We got to get it on. We were wired that way. But to your point, it's so much more sacred than that. And here's the thing that Hailey and I believe that maybe a lot of people wouldn't agree with, but we want our kids to get married young.
Yes. I was just thinking about this.
Yeah. And we want, like, I want my son. Look, I know I'm a dude. Okay. So I know my son, when he turns 18 years old, he's going to want to get it on. Right? Like
before that.
I'm saying, like, it's going to start peaking around 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, this is when testosterone's the highest. This is when puberty's going spiraling.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that it's an animalistic desire. And so my hopes for my son, and even my daughters too, but daughters are a little bit different because, but again, for my sons, it's like, dude, look, you're not dating to date. You're dating to marry. You're looking for the right one. And once you have the right one, you get married. Right? And yeah, it might not be the perfect time. And yeah, you might not have that much money. And yeah, you know what? You might not know how to do the whole married thing. Nobody does. Okay. But here's the thing is that would you rather be ready and living in sin and letting the devil kind of hold you in this sinful stage of like, well, like, I kind of had sex with this girl and that girl and dad, you don't understand. Like, it's hard not to have sex and X, Y. It's like, I get it. That's why you get married. You know what I'm saying? And then you figure it out from there. Now, don't get me wrong. Marriage is a thing that you got to take time and you got to pick the right one. But I think a lot of times for men, especially, getting married younger is the right move.
Well, yeah. And I was just thinking about it yesterday. And I don't know.
And it makes you a dude. It makes you it makes you grow up.
Oh, it does make you grow up.
It makes you grow up.
And I don't know if it's just because we have a really great marriage, but I'm so excited for my kids to get to experience that.
Yeah.
Like those parents that kind of think like, oh my gosh, you can't even start dating till you're 30 or whatever. I'm like, man, I just don't relate to that because I want that for my children so badly. I want them to experience the joy and the love that I've had from my marriage. I want them to have that. Mm-hmm. And that just makes me so excited for them.
It's a whole crazy chapter of life.
And it's just, I don't know. In my experience, it's been the best. It's been the best. So yeah. I want that. So like I got to hang out with Riker by himself yesterday because he had a doctor's appointment. And so it was just him and I.
You guys talking?
We were talking, but I had him listen to, so Lisa Bevere was on the Jesus People podcast.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is the best podcast I've ever listened to in my life. Everybody needs to go listen to this podcast. I don't even care if you listen to this one, just go listen to that one. But it was the Jesus People podcast with Lisa Bevere. And it just made me so excited for him. Like, I'm like, man, I'm just so, I love that for them.
And here's another coin to this is that the world will say, well, you got to go experience. You got to
sow your oats.
You got to sow your oats. You got to, live life while you're young. This is the only time you get to do it. And you got to understand compatibility. What if you're not sexually compatible? Mm-hmm. And, what if, this and what if that? And it's like, dude, whoa. Like, we're just way out of whack here.
We're way out of
line. Like, we're just in left field. Like, no, none of that. It's nonsense. It's Fugazi. I don't even know what Fugazi means, but it's all stupid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Let's go back to God's design. And God's design is you have one woman that you have sex with in your life. Now, is that hard? Yeah. But a lot of things are hard. That's the design.
Why is that hard? I don't relate to that. So
well, no, it's hard. I mean, I get it because as a man, you again, as in a fleshly world with testosterone peaking and you attracted to the female species in a very earthly sense, you want to have sex with everybody, right? Like you're just like in your carnal nature, that is what a dude does. That's why, like, what's his name? Andrew Tate. And these guys that spread like, hey, you're a dude. Like you go around and sew them. The chick has the wife and they take care of the kids, but you go around and spread, baby, because that is what a dude does. And go make money and go gross. and you make the money so you can support them. But like, that's all you need to do, because you're a man, right? Like that's what a man's designed to do is go spread and stuff. It's all nonsense.
But that's not even what men are designed to do.
Well, in an earthly sense, though, that is the
no,
that
it's
is
not.
no. But that's what they're spreading. That's the message to a lot of these men.
It's not what men are designed for.
It's like men's chief responsibility is to make money and just satisfy the woman with money and sex. And then
Well,
they,
right. But
like,
I mean,
go
like
from
if you
there.
look at the feminist message to women, it's like, hey, you should be the CEO and you should be the whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that's what women were designed for. It's
No,
just
no,
what the
no, no, no,
messaging
no.
is.
Yeah,
So
we're
just
getting way off
because that's
track.
what Andrew Tate says that
Yeah.
men were designed for doesn't make it real.
We're getting way off track, 100%.
Like that's not what men were designed for. I don't want men to hear
Yeah.
that.
No.
You were designed to provide and
That's what
protect.
the world will say. That's what the world will say.
I mean, that's what one guy in the world will say. I don't know.
Well, yeah, from a worldly perspective.
Definitely a worldly perspective.
Yeah.
But that in God's design, God designed men to work. He designed them to work hard. He designed them to provide and to protect. But I disagree with the premise that humans weren't designed for monogamy. I think they absolutely were.
One woman, one dude.
Yeah, one woman,
And,
one man for life. Period.
For life.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my last one is the role of personal responsibility.
Okay.
And I think what the Bible teaches in a Christian framework, it requires accountability. It requires what we call extreme ownership, right? That is saying, I take full responsibility for everything that happens in the household and for my actions, right? And I think what the world does very, very good is it convinces you that, oh my gosh, well, you're not happy. It's your wife's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you're not happy? Well, that's easy. It's your spouse's fault. Like they're not providing you for your needs. They're not doing what they should be doing. So then once you start pointing the fingers at this spouse and that spouse, you obviously lose your power because now there's nothing you can do to change the situation because it's now somebody else's fault, somebody else's responsibility. Where in a biblical context, a biblical framework, as soon as you start taking personal responsibility, it's like, oh my gosh, well, you know what? Yeah, my husband might be X, Y, and Z, but what can I do, right? What can I do to help this marriage thrive and succeed and do better? And the cool thing, and this is why the Bible is so freaking smart and why it's so good, is because what the Bible, what Jesus realizes is that when you become better and you start making changes, what happens? A rising tide lifts all boats. Mm-hmm. So it's like, here's how I look at it. I used to work for a gentleman named Bedros, right? And the cool thing about this gentleman when I worked for him, and this is the first time that this ever happened in my life, he was a guy that operated with very specific standards in his life, right? He was in shape. He would talk respectfully. He was always kind. He would come in and tell you what he expected, but he would also lead with mercy, right? And so what I realized is when you're around this guy, all of a sudden you want it to be better. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, dude, let me button up. Let me look a little bit better. Let me clear my desk. Let me, you know what? This is kind of a little messy. Let me clean this real quick because he's a guy that lifted all the boats and the tide. And so you can do this in your marriage, right? When you become the spouse that, oh my gosh, my spouse has very high expectations. She lives by high standards. You know what? She treats me good no matter what. You know, all of a sudden your other spouse is like, I got to raise and I have to rise because if I don't, now it's like you feel uncomfortable. Like, how am I going to be the weaker one in this marriage? I got to like come up. So it's very fascinating how the Bible knows this and how it teaches this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think an equally as important question as what can I do to make our marriage better is you need to ask yourself, how have I added to the problem? Instead of, oh my gosh, my husband's the problem. My husband won't lead. My husband won't do this. What can I do to make our marriage better? It's like, well, no, what have you done to make leadership hard for your husband?
Yes.
What have you done to that in a way that, okay, I heard a really beautiful explanation this last week where as a wife, you need to speak up to the man you know your husband can be and not down to the problem.
To the person he is being.
Not to the person he's being, right?
Yeah.
Always talk him up to, hey, you got home from work. I know you're tired and I know you were more short with the boys than you wanted to be, but hey, this is the dad I know you can be. Like instead of, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you would talk to our son like that. Like how could you? Why don't you just go to bed? Right? That's talking down. But if you can lift him up, so like you have to acknowledge how you've been the problem.
Yeah.
If you've been the wife that's talked down, if you've been the wife who will not submit to your husband's leadership because you think you know better, if you've been the wife who your intimacy in your marriage is not good and you don't feel connected and close because you've been using sex as a weapon, you have to be honest with yourself about how you have contributed to the problem. Because I promise you have. We all do. No problem is one-sided. You have contributed somehow, and you've got to be honest with yourself and what that is.
Yeah, you did that so good early in our marriage. We talked about it. But when I was kind of drifting and I was a drifter, you did that well. You spoke into the man you knew I could be, not the man that I was currently at.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is, as we believe, everything is driven by identity, about who you believe you are. And so your actions stem from who you believe you are. And so when you were speaking to a higher identity of mine, I was able to adopt that identity because you keep speaking it into me, which is how you get an identity, by the way. It's something that you speak into yourself. Most people, from a personal development standpoint, the person that talks to you the most throughout the day is, guess what?
Yourself.
Is yourself, right? And so never forget that. But again, a lot of the self-talk comes from what other people say.
That's what I say. As a wife and as a mom, you have to know that the words you use to your husband and to your children becomes the words they repeat to themselves.
Yes, exactly. Because then I internalize it. And then I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm a bad dad. I'm a bad dad. I'm a bad dad. Right? As opposed to when you say, if I'm being a bad dad, but you're like, hey, you're not acting the way that I know that you are. You're a good father. You're an excellent. And then I'm thinking, oh, I'm a good father. You know what?
Right.
That is who I am. I am that guy. Right? And now I'm speaking this identity over me. And then I act according to that identity.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how that self-fulfilling prophecy activates, and you do it so well. But it was cool to hear Lisa Bavere, how she kind of articulated it and said it.
Good.
But you did that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Christian marriages should look steadier, gentler, stronger, and more hopeful than cultural marriages. That's the bottom line for me.
Yes.
Steadier, gentler, stronger, and more hopeful. And here's a quote that I heard. Is that sometimes your life might be the only Bible that people ever read.
Oh, geez.
And that's intense, and that's a lot of pressure. And I would pray. I would pray that my life might be the first Bible that someone ever reads,
Man,
but then they go
crazy.
and pick up the real one after that.
That's crazy.
But your life can lead people to Christ and set an example, or it can say, "Oh my gosh, that's what a Christian is." I don't really want anything to do with that. Like that doesn't look any different than the parents I grew up with or whatever, you know what I mean? Like our lives need to look different and they need to be appealing.
Yeah.
Not because we have so much money but because we have so much peace and love and gentleness for each other.
A common thing that I've heard across the board, and it goes to what you just said, and it's so sad, but why people start turning away from God and turning away from the church. You know what I hear oftentimes is because they say this, it's filled with a bunch of hypocrites. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go to church, but I know what they do on Mondays. I know what this person does on Thursday nights, but they go to church on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it's to your point. It's like, dude, your life is the Bible. Your life is the word played out over and over. And you never, I never want our marriage to be the reason why somebody doesn't live it according to the Bible, Mm-hmm. And it's so sad. I have actually met multiple people like this where they just can't fathom going to, like, why?
Yeah,
I'm going to be around all these hypocrites and all these people that just live these weird lives. Mm-hmm. And it's something to think about.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird juxtaposition because the church is a hospital for the sick. It's not a home for the saints, right? Yeah. And so you're going to have humans who are imperfect at church, and that's a good thing. And we want those people there. And I want a place where I can go because I'm imperfect, right? And I want to be able to go to the church. But we also at the same time have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. So going because we are unwell, but constantly striving to live closer to Jesus and to be more like him and to, it's a weird, because you don't want to go and sit in this, the church is a hospital for the sick. It's okay, but you don't want to be the sick forever, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta.
Yeah.
What do they call it? You have your sanctification. No, you have your salvation, which is when you accept Jesus. You have your sanctification, which is a lifelong pursuit to become more like Jesus. And you have your glorification when you get to Jesus.
When you get to Jesus, yeah.
And you have the three.
And so right now we're all in the sanctification.
And that's a lifelong process, but it needs to be a continuing process. It's not an overnight thing.
It's not just,
you don't just go from salvation to glorification. There needs to be that sanctification process happening.
Yeah. And you know what? The reality is we're all hypocrites, right?
Right,
like,
we're human.
Like God says, we have all fallen short to the glory of God. We're all sinners. And so that's the reality, is that the cool thing is like, yeah, you're going to be around a bunch of hypocrites, but guess what? The church needs one more.
You'll fit right in.
Yeah, you'll fit it. We all need one more hypocrite in the church.
Yeah, so I also want people to hear that and not use that as an excuse for not going to church.
100%. Yeah.
They're human. Everyone at the church is human.
Yes. Yeah.
Including the pastor.
And I've had to learn that, including the pastor. And again, It's so funny. Yeah, the pastors are just humans.
They're just human.
But they know the Bible, and they should at least.
And they
should be preaching the Bible.
But they're human, and they're going to say things like, I've heard so many people that they stop going to church or they have to find another church because they didn't like something the pastor said. Like, okay, we have to use wisdom, and if it's like repeatedly, and if they're just like their theology is wrong, okay, then maybe you need to find another church. But it's like, oh my gosh, the pastor, somebody's phone went off in church and he got upset and asked them to leave, and now I have to find another church. It's like, well, the pastor's human, and maybe he didn't sleep well, and maybe he'd already asked her to turn her phone off. Or like,
there's circumstances.
There's circumstances, so like they're human.
Yeah, we're all humans. That's a cool thing.
Anyways.
Yeah. I think I got that quote, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Is it this one? If you don't intentionally build your life around your values, busyness will gladly build it for you.
And it won't prioritize your marriage. That's the end of the quote, right?
Prioritize your marriage.
Yes, that's a great one. That's it.
Okay, sweet. Oh my gosh.
Oh, on that note, sorry.
Well,
I knew it was coming.
We are about to get a nice little workout in,
go
a nice marriage pump to end the podcast well, or the podcast day well.
Yeah.
And so guys, we appreciate you being here. If you found value in this podcast, something that we would greatly appreciate and that would help us and help other couples is that you share the podcast with others, right? So if you got value out of it, odds are other marriages will get value out of it. And that's one of the ways that we grow this podcast and spread a lot of impact together. So we appreciate that. And then of course, if you're looking for a way to grow your marriage and have a better marriage, something that we advise you to check out is the links in the description. It's called Spark Check-In. It's something that Hailey and I built that we use on a weekly basis that helps our marriage stay strong and grow together. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you for the next one.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.